running the equivalent of 6 marathons in 6 days. That's the goal for one Scottsbluff man, and all for a great cause. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Plat Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Plat Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, since the inception of the Monument Marathon here in the Valley more than a decade ago, there's been more than a few locals who have completed the grueling 26.2-mile race. But one local man is preparing to do a 165-mile stretch of a coast-to-coast fundraiser later this year. It's called the MS Run the US, and it's the only ultra relay that goes across the United States. Randall Devlin of Scottsbluff has been selected to do the stretch from Ray, Colorado to Holdridge, Nebraska, and tells KNEB News what inspired him to do so.
Well, I've been a distance runner for quite some time. I started about 7 or 8 years ago running, and I've been into the distance. I've been running marathons. I just ran my 5th marathon last year, the Monument Marathon here in town. And I've run a few others, run a lot of half marathons, and a few ultra kind of things.
His wife got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis about 14 years ago, so when he came across this particular race, he applied and became an ambassador and was ultimately selected to do his stretch, which is the equivalent of about 6 marathons over the course of 6 days. Devlin says he's more concerned about the fundraising than the distance training.
But the training, I got to be honest, that's not even the most difficult or the biggest thing you got to wrap your head around with this. So part of the whole MS Run the US is we commit to raising $10,000, each of us do. And that component, I mean, that's something that I've never really done before. I've never had to go and raise that kind of money.
He's raised a little more than 10% of his $10,000 goal. And if you'd like to donate to his cause, which goes towards MS research and support, you can find a link to his page by finding this story on KNEB.com. Well, the United Way of Western Nebraska's AmeriCorps Senior Program will be joining in with the Nebraska AmeriCorps Senior Initiative this week to honor Martin Luther King. In Scottsbluff County, volunteers will collect food and paper goods for local emergency food pantries and food banks, contributing to the nationwide effort of hundreds of thousands of Americans engaging in volunteer service. United Way AmeriCorps Seniors Director Billy Estes explains.
Some other chapters are doing a month-long drive because I'm just new to the gig, where we've kind of pared down and I'm just doing just the week here. But yeah, many AmeriCorps programs will do a full-on day of volunteerism in their community, and we may be looking at doing that in the fall. They do another day of service around 9/11, but we're doing the week food drive here in Scottsbluff County.
From now until Friday, you can drop off items at Riverstone Bank in Scottsbluff or Gering, or at the United Way office in Scottsbluff. Observed each year on the 3rd Monday in January, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the only federal holiday designated as a national day of service to encourage all Americans to volunteer to honor King's legacy and improve their communities. We'll have more news right after this.
The journey of a dream becoming reality. When we're young, a dream develops into a passion. That passion continues to manifest and grows as you do. It becomes all you want to do and all you want to be. It gives you direction. It drives you. Then, your dream has become a reality. When that dream is ready to be reality, Plat Valley Bank will be with you every step of the way.
Benzel Pest Control has been the Wyoming and Nebraska area's most committed professional pest control company. We have 4 generations and nearly 50 years of experience serving Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado, as well as certified entomologists on staff. So whether you're dealing with spiders, wasps, rodents, or any other unwanted visitors, give Benzel Pest Control a call today for an estimate at 888-229-2128 or visit our website at benzelpestcontrol.com.
Welcome back. A 29-year-old Scottsbluff man has been sentenced to a total of 9 to 16 years in prison on several meth convictions after taking a consolidated plea deal in November. Shane Merill was arrested in 2022 after he was caught with more than a third of a pound of methamphetamine in the mall parking lot. He did bond out and then became the subject of a Wing Drug Task Force investigation and sold meth to a CI on 2 separate occasions. Merrill's ultimately pleaded no contest to 2 counts of meth distribution, as well as a Class 1C felony charge of possession of meth 28 to 139 grams. Last week in district court, Judge Leo Dobrovony sentenced him to 4 to 8 years in prison on the meth distribution charges, which will run concurrently, plus a mandatory minimum of 5 to 8 years on the remaining count. Well, members of Panhandle Co-op and Farmers Cooperative Elevator have approved the merger of the 2 businesses during special membership meetings last week. Both boards of directors say they are pleased with the results, indicating mutual support of members for future growth and opportunities. Panhandle Co-op CEO Charlie Wright, who will become CEO of the new Legacy Cooperative, said the company will leverage their collective expertise, resources, and cutting-edge technologies to revolutionize service to their combined trade areas while offering solutions to feed the world. Bart Mosman, current Farmers Co-op CEO, will become the COO of Legacy Cooperative, which will start combined operations on March 1st. And as Iowa Republicans gathered yesterday to voice their opinion who should be the party's presidential nominee, Nebraska's 3rd District Congressman says that selection process belongs to voters, not the courts or the state officials. Adrian Smith told KNB News it's just absolutely inappropriate the efforts to which Democrats are trying to keep Trump off the ballot, which is actually spelled out through the Constitution and has to involve due process.
I actually have a problem with a county prosecutor in Georgia hauling in a former president of the United States when there are already vast resources at the federal level to address things. So there's that part, but that hasn't even been taken up in its entirety. And so that some states would already draw conclusions prior to due process taking place, that's a huge problem.
Regarding the decision by the Maine Secretary of State to pull Trump off the ballot, Smith noted that official isn't even elected by the people, but is appointed. Smith says the process will be noisy in the next several months, but ultimately there needs to be an election that the American people have control over.
Life is crazy. Pain is stressful. How can anybody concentrate with these busy schedules? Now you can. This is Ben Moravec coming to you from Hydrozen, a float therapy business right here in Scottsbluff. I'm here today to let you know we now have memberships for $49 monthly. You can guarantee yourself at least 1 float per month. You know how floating keeps your muscles relaxed, your joints relieved, and your brain clear to think? Now you can float at a reduced rate each month. Inquire today at hydrozenfloat.com or call us at 308-63-FLOAT. Hydrozen. Unplug and recharge.
This is KNEB.TV Ag News from the Scottsbluff Body and Paint Ag Desk. Scottsbluff Body and Paint, you're driving home our reputation.
Finally today, last week we discussed developing heifers to fit into their specific production environment. This week we're joined by UNO cow-calf specialist Casey McCarthy to discuss some of the things to keep in mind if you're considering replacement heifers. Market Journal's Mike Straub has this story.
If investing in your heifers is the goal, development cost, breeding cost, and time selection are going to be some of the main considerations.
So when we think about developing heifers, a lot goes into it. And so we think about the finances and development costs, breeding costs. And so there are a lot of things that we need to consider. And so if we're considering investing in our heifers and developing heifers on our own, There's a few different times that we can consider looking at heifers and selecting heifers. And so that really first time is going to be at weaning. When we are evaluating our production records, we start to look at our genetics from this calf crop and thinking about those replacement rates. And so our heifers over winter can be a low economical investment for those heifers, depending on how we develop them and thinking about inputs.
Making sure you have a production plan and goal is important to think about when deciding how you want to develop your heifers.
The other time frame that we're really going to be considering when we think about those financial inputs is going to be at breeding time. And so having a really good production plan and goal for our heifers, moving from weaning and how we're developing them up until breeding season will really be important to think about and or considering purchasing heifers. So we've got a couple different options if we want to develop them over the winter or potentially buy some bred heifers moving into the next breeding season.
Age is an important consideration when managing heifers. One thing to remember is to reference your records when it's time to make these kinds of decisions.
So when we think about management decisions or considerations for our heifers, age is one of the first ones we think about. When we think about age of heifers, this is a great time to pull out those calving records and take a look at those heifers that are born early in our calving season and or that mid cycle of our calving season. Generally, when we look at the research that's been done, looking at longevity of our females in the cow herd, we see that those females that are born in the first 21 days or even that second cycle of the calving season, we see that they are retained in the herd for an additional year. When we start looking at that further with the research we've seen in the state and surrounding states, we see that those heifers that are born earlier and that also conceive within those first 21 days of their breeding season stay in the herd longer. They produce and also produce a calf, one more calf over their lifetime compared to selecting heifers later in the breeding season.
Understanding your production goal is a major consideration when thinking about genetics and phenotypes.
So when we think about selection related to genetics and phenotype, the first thing you really need to think about are what are your production goals. At the end of the day, what do you want your heifers or your cow herd to be producing? So when we think about some phenotype, ultimately we're looking at structural soundness, we're looking maybe at udder quality, we're looking at docility, composition, and may have some other phenotypes in terms of broodiness that we're going to be selecting for when we're looking at those females. But also taking the time to evaluate our EPDs of our bulls and our cows is also something we should be considering when we're looking at our heifers. Understanding that bulls play a huge role and scrotal circumference can also help identify those heifers that may be pubertal early. And so with increased scrotal circumference, we see that increase in puberty in our heifers. And so that can be used as a selection tool.
When thinking about heifer replacement, having set goals, referencing records, looking at EPDs, and understanding your environment play a huge role in how heifers are developed.
So when we're thinking about heifer replacement considerations, have an idea of what you're looking for and what your goals are for production records, looking at EPDs, and know your environment. I think that's going to play a big role on how these heifers are developed, and especially thinking about the resources we have available this year. So what are some of those byproducts that we might be able to use for supplement to target those rates of gain, and or what are our feed resources in terms of dormant range, or are those heifers in a feedlot, and making sure that we look at those rates of gain, and if you need help looking at development rations or supplement strategies, reach out to your extension personnel. We're happy to create some rations for you to keep those heifers on track.
Investing in heifers takes a lot of consideration. Selection time, genetics, and development cost are just some of the things to think about when deciding upon replacement heifers. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Mike Straub.
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Andersen, a great investment? You're darn right.
Welcome to the Snow Show, boys and girls. Today we'll be learning about safe snow tips. Yay! Tip number 1. When scooping the sidewalk, always deposit the snow on your lawn and gardens. Not only is it environmentally safe, it keeps our streets and gutters clear. Tip number 2. Where there's ice on the ground, use salt only as a last resort. Use no-salt de-icers, which are less harmful to plants, animals, and your concrete. Be safe around snow and ice. The show is brought to you today by Tri-State Water.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
Let's take a look at your community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
Better sleep and better health can be found at Western Sleep Medicine in Gering. Since 2006, Western Sleep Medicine has offered the lowest cost sleep testing, either in their independent sleep laboratory or the privacy of your own home. You have control over your health care and your out-of-pocket cost. All insurance is accepted for a much lower cost than the regional option. If you need a sleep study, ask for Western Sleep Medicine. They've helped thousands of people over the years and want to help you. Western Sleep Medicine. Better sleep, better health.
At Plat Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether you are just starting the business you have always imagined or looking to grow your existing one, we have a business loan to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Plat Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Plat Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally tonight, third grade students in Nebraska are invited to submit artwork for the 2024 Nebraska Severe Weather Awareness Poster Contest. This contest, sponsored by Nebraska Association of Emergency Management, National Weather Service, Nebraska National Guard, and Nebraska Emergency Management Agency, is part of the annual Severe Weather Awareness Week effort produced by emergency management directors across the state. While not specifically designed to promote tornado awareness, tornadoes are the most common theme chosen for posters. Lightning and flooding, which are also products of severe thunderstorms, are also good topic choices. Contest entry details can be found by going to this story on kneb.com. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. We'll see you here next time.